What's going on, my ghouls and ghoulettes? That's right, October is here. We are in the season. Tis the season. Halloween is just around the corner. So you know there's going to be tons of Halloween content dropping. And we're here to talk about one specific one. That's right, Pet Sematary, the classic. Paramount is putting out a prequel to the original Pet Sematary, and with, it's time to talk about it. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Klepcx FM, brought to you by CritiX.com, a place where we talk about movies, television, pop culture. And if you're into that kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe key and that notification bell so y'all can be up to speed about everything that I talk about here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I have had the opportunity to check out Pet Sematary Bloodlines. That's right, the latest addition to the Pet Sematary franchise, originally based on a story by the master of horror himself, Stephen King. Now, there was an original that a lot of people know. It's a classic. Pet Sematary had come out in the 80s sometimes. I want to say maybe 87, 89. I can't really remember. It slips my brain. But I do know it is a classic horror film, and I have seen it. Then there was a sequel. Came out with Eddie Furlong is in it. Pet Sematary 2. Dubbed right after the original. Then later on, some years later, they felt the need, I want to say maybe 2012-ish around that time, they did a remake of the original, which I really did not hate that much. A lot of people didn't like it, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And now, Paramount felt the need to revisit this franchise in these stories, also based on, the Stephen King book, and they're doing Pet Sematary Bloodlines, and I had a chance to see it, ladies and gentlemen, and it stars David Duchovny. And I want to, before we get into what I thought about this film, I want to take the chance here to explain how I'm going to do this review. I'm going to kind of break it up into two parts. I'm going to give you my overall thoughts of this film, spoiler free, and then I'm going to give you the reasons behind my thoughts in a second half, but it's going to be a little bit spoilerish, so I'm going to give you fair warning that if you want to not hear the second part, and it won't take long, it'll be brief, feel free to just jump away, go watch the film, and then come back and we converse about it. But first, without further ado, what did I think of Pet Sematary Bloodlines? I thought that they meant well when they wanted to revisit this franchise, and I thought that the overall premise of this film was pretty cool. They wanted to give us a little bit of backstory. So this is indeed, or appears to be, a prequel, which follows the character Judd, who was originally played by Fred Gwynne, who a lot of you may know from the Munsters. But Fred Gwynne, a lot of people know him as Judd in the original, the one who was pretty much, knew everything that was going on with the Pet Sematary. He knew a little bit of the history of it. He was trying to warn the family about, the dangers of it. But he was also the character that introduced the father in the original of the Pet Sematary. Now, there's a bit of a storyline that he gives the father in that movie. This film is that story. So if you're familiar with the original and dialogue in and out, or if you need to revisit it, it's in there. You could pretty much go watch that movie and know what this movie is about. So going back to Pet Sematary Bloodlines, they attempt to tell this story. It follows that character Judd, and it pretty much follows, their family and some people in the town may or may not know about the Pet Sematary already, and it just kind of trickles down into a dangerous situation that we're all pretty much familiar with. That there is the basis of what the story is about. How I felt about it was that I really thought that this film missed the mark a lot. It was a little draggy. It was a little boring. It's not a long movie. It just really didn't serve as entertaining as I was hoping it would. But let's be fair. The original was a little bit the same way, but it had some very shocking moments that, if you haven't seen the movie, you should have seen it by now. It's been out for, decades at this point. There's a scene where, we lose the cat Church. That's a famous, plot point in the movie. Then we have the little son, Gage, that everybody knows. That famous plot point in that movie. Those are the things that stand out in the original. In this one, and I'm just comparing the two in contrast, this one doesn't really serve up much of those kind of iconic moments. It's just pretty much the same old thing with an origin twist to it. And yeah, they really failed to miss the mark on it, I'm afraid, in this film. I just wasn't a fan of it at all. And that's just pretty much all I'm going to say. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you don't watch the movie. Please do watch the movie so you can check it out and at least know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So that's just my overall consensus of why I don't really enjoy this film. But now, spoilers are coming in. Let me take the moment to explain to you why I did not like Pet Semetary Bloodlines. Spoilers out there, so please, this is fair warning. If you do not want to hear what I'm going to say, because there will be spoiler moments, please step away. So without further ado, why I do not like Pet Semetary is it's a very obvious reason if you are a fan of the original. The plot that I'm telling you about, the storyline in which is the movie is based on, is based off of a story that is told by the character Judd in the original. I'm not sure if the writers knew this or not, but their story is not matching up with the original story that was told. It's almost as if in the original, the Judd character is lying or does not recall what really happened, because he gives some very detailed plot points that are completely ignored in Bloodlines that don't match up to the story at all. For instance, Judd tells the dad in Pet Semetary 1 that his friend had passed away in World War II. And the dad took the kid, buried him in the pet cemetery, and then he came back, da-da-da-da-da, house burns down, the end. In this movie, that's not what happens. His friend was actually in Vietnam. Judd's a little bit older. He's aged up. So the timelines don't match. So that would mean that Judd was actually supposed to be in his 40s or some sort in the first one. When we know that's not true, because he looked a lot older than the father in that movie. In the Bloodlines, his friend comes from Vietnam, not World War II. So the stories didn't really match up. Now, I don't know how anyone missed that or didn't go back and revisit the original before they figured that this would be the actual plot line of Bloodlines. But yeah, for me, I was just like, this is weird. Like, you guys gave us a whole plot line, a whole story in the original. That's your basis of this movie. And then when we actually watch the movie, the story is completely different. It's changed. The characters don't even look the same as the flashbacks. It's just really weird. It just really just missed the mark for me overall. So that's basically where I'm coming from, where I'm saying I wasn't feeling the movie overall. And then just the way that it was executed, it was a little dry, a little boring, and it just didn't really work for me. But that major plot point in storytelling was really most of the reason why I didn't like it. If you guys are really interested in seeing this movie, let me know. I want to know, are you guys into it? Are you a Pet Semetary fan? How did you feel about the sequels in the remake prior to this one? Are you having high hopes, low hopes? I really want to know, because like I said, I went into this really excited and I wanted to see it. I love Stephen King's storylines in his movies, even though a lot of people don't like the way that the movies are executed. This one didn't do it for me, but I still urge that everyone check it out for themselves and see, tell me if I'm off. Maybe you will find something about it that you do like, but I'm telling you, that storyline, they don't match up. And I watched the first one right before I watched this one, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, anyways, I hope I didn't ruin it for you. But anyways, like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe. And for more movie news, television news, and pop culture, check out wearecritics.com. And I will talk to you all later. Peace.